In this video, I'm going to show you how to write a high-scoring essay for advantages and disadvantages questions in IELTS Writing Task 2. You will learn how to structure your essay, which grammar and vocabulary to use, and more tips and tricks to get a high band score. If you're going to take your IELTS soon, check out my IELTS materials. There, I teach you everything you need to score high. I show you step by step how to give high-scoring answers. And of course, we do many practice tests together, so you will feel confident for your test. You can find the link in the description below. And now, let's get started. Let's take a look at the question. Many cities around the world are now testing driverless cars on the same roads that are used by regular cars. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this? You must pay attention here. You must give both the good points and bad points. If you only talk about one side, either advantages only or disadvantages only, you won't get full points. Plus, do you see that this isn't really asking your opinion? You don't have to say that one is better or not. You just have to discuss both sides of the argument. Therefore, pay attention to what the question asks you to do. After that, the instructions tell you to give reasons and include examples. They also tell you to write over 250 words. To write my answer, I start by brainstorming ideas and taking notes. I don't have any personal experience with driverless cars, but I know that most accidents are caused by people who make errors because they are tired or paying attention to something else. Okay, fewer accidents is a good advantage, but I realized that if there are cars all over with no drivers, then taxi drivers and other people lose their jobs. That's a good point to use for a disadvantage, so I write lose jobs. Let's start with the first sentence. In my opinion, having driverless vehicles would certainly lead to fewer accidents, but there would also be considerable drawbacks, such as a large amount of job loss. This is a great sentence because I clearly state the advantages and disadvantages, so the IELTS examiner knows I understand the question. I do want to point out one detail that would also boost my score: fewer accidents. Lots of students mix up less and fewer. Less is used with something you can count, like water. Fewer is used with things you can count, like cows. You can count accidents because you can say there were 4 accidents last week. Therefore, I showed off my grammar skills by using fewer. Little details like this are important on the IELTS. The first sentence gives the IELTS examiner the first look at your writing, so take time to make sure it's grammatically correct. That's enough for an introduction. I move on to the first body paragraph and I leave some space between the paragraphs. Paragraph structure is important because it shows the examiner that you are able to write a well-structured answer. The primary benefit of self-driving cars is decreasing the number of accidents. I said the first idea again, but I paraphrased it a little. Paraphrasing shows off your range of vocabulary. Here, driverless vehicles turn to self-driving cars. I also changed fewer accidents to decreasing the number of accidents. The word accident is the same, but you don't have to change every single word. In this case, I changed the grammatical structure around the word. This topic sentence is general. After I give the general claim, I explain what I mean in more detail. I have heard that the largest percentage of accidents could have been avoided because the driver was not paying attention or made a poor decision. Again, I used accidents, but instead of talking about a smaller number, I say that they could have been avoided because there is a driver. This is the problem that driverless cars can fix. I explain why they could have been avoided too. The driver was not paying attention or made a poor decision. Or and can be used to join two ideas that are the same grammatical structure. In this case, I'm joining two past tense verbs. I have to give reasons and examples from my own experience, but I haven't had an accident driving a car. Therefore, I will use a statement of what I see around me. For example, I sometimes see drivers applying makeup, looking at a map, or talking on a cell phone. For example, clearly shows that the following is an example of the previous statement. Linking words are really important to show how the sentences relate to each other. Again, I used or, but this time I joined three ideas. I check to make sure that they are the same grammatical structure. They are all ing words used as nouns, applying makeup, looking at the map, and talking on a cell phone. This doesn't exactly show why they are accidents, so I want to clarify my idea a bit more. Plus, I want to make sure that it's clear why the person has accidents, but the driverless car does not. Here's my next sentence. With only part of their attention on the road, they might not see a hazard. By the way, if you want more IELTS writing sample answers, hit the like button and write yes in the comments. If you want something else, tell me your video wish in the comments so I know what you would like to see on this channel. Now the reader can see why people are a danger. They are not paying attention and they miss seeing the problem. However, this is not enough of a paragraph because I've not shown why driverless cars are good. I've only shown why people are bad. So I use a new linking phrase, by contrast, in the next sentence to show that the cars are very different. By contrast, a driverless car is always alert, using hundreds of sensors scanning for dangers. Alert is an active, positive word. That means the car is paying attention. It gives a very good impression of the car. It seems like the car is trying to help the passenger. I then support that idea with a fact that there are hundreds of sensors. I actually don't know how many sensors a driverless car has. It may be 10, it may be 1,000. I used hundreds because it refers to a very large number that seems real enough. You are allowed to make up facts like this on the IELTS test. The examiner knows that you can't use the internet to check details. The point is that you must make the facts support your argument. You're trying to show that you can write a good argument. You are not required to have any specialized knowledge of the topic, so you will not lose points if the facts are wrong but logical. That's enough to show why the cars are better than human drivers. I move on to the last sentence of the paragraph. Hence, an automated car is safer because it can detect and avoid situations that lead to accidents better than a distracted driver can. Hence shows that this sentence is the conclusion of the paragraph. I just summarized the main idea. Do you notice that I used automated car rather than driverless or self-driving? I'm still paraphrasing. I want to show off my vocabulary and boost my score. I used better than a distracted driver to hedge a bit. I'm showing that the car is better in the situations I just talked about, but not necessarily in all situations. This sentence shows that the car is better. That's an advantage. I need to talk about both advantages and disadvantages, so I make a separate paragraph for each. Let's continue with the next sentence. There is, however, a potential disadvantage in that many individuals would be put out of work if vehicles were able to operate without drivers. This sentence starter shows that I'm talking about disadvantages. There is no question about whether the topic is good or bad. Plus, however, establishes a contrast. I emphasize that the first paragraph is good points and the second is bad. The other important point about this sentence is that I used an if clause. These clauses are awesome because they show your ability to make complex sentences. If clauses show a possibility and they require special verb forms. If you are comfortable with them, it's an easy way for you to boost your score. Here's the next sentence. Like before, I go from general to more specific details. Today, tens of thousands of people are employed in the transportation industry, driving buses, taxis, and other vehicles. I like the phrase transportation industry. I'm including a list here with nouns joined by and. It works the same way as lists joined by or. The words are things that are driven, buses, taxis, and other vehicles. Again, I don't know how many people are employed in the industry, but tens of thousands of people sounds like a lot. I emphasize my point, even if I don't know the exact number. I also chose that number because it reveals that I can use large numbers correctly, as tens and thousands are both plural. I could have said just thousands or millions and not be marked down. The next sentence shows how these people fit my argument. Their work would become obsolete if artificial intelligence replaced them. That's actually enough information for the argument to be clear. However, this paragraph is too short. The advantages and disadvantages should be about the same length. Therefore, I think of a counterargument. I've said that losing jobs is a disadvantage. So someone might say that taking care of the cars would employ them. So that becomes my next sentence. Of course, some people would be employed in maintaining these cars, but there are already mechanics who serve traditional cars. The net change would be fewer jobs. I used of course to show that the next idea is one that the reader may be thinking at the time. I could break this into two sentences, but I don't want to get the paragraph off topic. I used a semicolon to join them. I'm proving that I can use punctuation correctly too. This sentence is really complex. I checked the grammar, but links the first two ideas to show that even though people need to fix driverless cars, there are already people doing so. The result is, after the semicolon, the net change or total difference is fewer jobs, because the number of mechanics doesn't change, but there are fewer drivers. Now the paragraph is a good length, so we can write a conclusion for the paragraph. Accordingly, society may suffer ripples of economic problems if a large segment of workers were rendered unemployed. Accordingly shows the result of the argument. I introduced the idea of economic problems in society, which hasn't really come up in the rest of the paragraph. However, I include it because I want to make it really clear that losing jobs is a serious disadvantage. It sounds very bad, doesn't it? Now I have given one advantage and one disadvantage. The paragraphs are about the same length, so I move on to the conclusion. In sum, while having driverless cars would increase road safety, it would also cause changes in society, since a large number of drivers would lose their positions. This sentence just needs to summarize the points that I've said. Notice that I made fewer accidents sound more positive by saying increase safety. I don't have to give my opinion about which is better, because the question does not ask for my opinion. I just need to discuss the two sides. My essay is almost done. I checked the length. This is 256 words, which is over the 250 word minimum. Some people try to write as many words as possible. You don't have to. In fact, as long as you are over 250 words, shorter is better. It shows that you can select the most important ideas and stay on topic. Don't forget to proofread your essay to see if there are any spelling and punctuation errors. Also, look for chances to paraphrase ideas. Then you're done. That's it. That's how to write a Band 9 answer for an advantages-disadvantages question in IELTS Writing Task 2. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS score too. See you in the next video.